Do you want to become a millionaire? Do you want to manifest love? Do you want to manifest some educational opportunity? Let me give you the secret. Stick with me. Hey guys, I'm Dr. Stephanie, neurometaphysicist, and I help take the science and the spiritual and blend them to teach you how to create and manifest the life of your dreams. For those who don't know, and I like to give just like a brief history so you can say, like, why is she teaching me? For the last 15 years, I have run a multi-7-figure company, coaching and consulting company. I also have a multi-6-figure company that I started a couple years ago, and I've helped countless numbers of people do the exact same thing by shifting their belief systems, their thoughts, in order to manifest the life that they desire. And this conversation has been coming up pretty consistently within my friend circle, and it is narratives. It is narratives, it is stories, and it's identity. Narrative, stories, and identity, which really kind of lead back to the same thing. I was talking to a good friend last night, and I was telling her about some things I've seen on social media that have been happening. And I'm like, I'm just confused. Like, this hasn't been my experience. Like, how is this everyone's experience? And we brought it back to consciousness, and we brought it back to identity, and we brought it back to story. I refuse to ever tell a story other than the one that I want to continue to be manifested as my truth. I'm going to repeat that. I do not tell stories other than the ones that I want to continue to be manifested as true. As a human species, we love to say, but it's true, and this is what's happening. We love to tell the story over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, every time. And it's like this record that's playing, and I think we somehow feel better telling the story, when the reality is every time we tell the story, it further imprints into our subconscious mind. And the more it imprints into our subconscious mind, the more we are telling our subconscious, or the subconscious tells your consciousness, create more of this. And the directives that your subconscious gives to your conscious mind are to do things that make sure you stay there, because this has become your subconscious truth. So I want to give you like this little idea, and I don't want you to forget this. The story you're telling at the height of emotion is easily imprinted into your subconscious. I'm going to say it again. The story that you tell at the height of emotion is easily imprinted into your subconscious. You actually don't have to tell the story too many times in order for it to submit into your consciousness as truth, especially when you're upset, sad, angry, crying, emotional, any of that. So when you have extremely strong emotions, the story sets almost immediately. It literally begins to open the neural pathways to take in whatever it is that you're telling as the truth. It's why we continue to experience it. And so there has to be a very conscious desire and awareness, a very conscious desire to shift your circumstances, and awareness of what you're saying at all times, and the emotions accompanied with what you're saying, in order to stop what's happening, in order to be a pattern break. So the one thing that will trigger me emotionally is my child, right? And y'all have a 16-year-old. Woo, baby, he tests me sometimes, right? And I have to really watch, because when you're upset and you want to like support and you want to talk to friends, you're highly emotional and you're telling what happened for support and advice. And even if I tell the story once, I tend not to tell the story again, at least not in an emotional way, because I recognize what's happening. We're repeating it over and over and over again. You have to ensure that if you're telling a story that is not connected to anything that you want to continue happening, there needs to be zero emotions connected to the story. And for most people do not have the emotional intelligence to move themselves out of that space. Most people tell stories from places of emotion. So if you want to create this life of financial abundance, if you want to create this life where you're generating hundreds of thousands a month, which is well over $1 million, right? Million is 88,000 and some change a month. Then you have to start telling positive money stories attached to deep emotion. So just like anger and sadness and depression, all those things are heightened emotions, so are extreme joy and happiness and glee. It's just, unfortunately, people don't let themselves feel into those emotions in the way they let themselves feel into the lower emotions. So one insight that I've given to many of my private clients is when you feel emotionally distraught, don't tell a story at all. Move from that. Find a different conversation in your mind to think about. Find something else in your mind to focus on other than what's happening. And once you can move out of strong emotion, you may still feel something. And you need to tell the story. Tell the story from a positive slant. Tell the story from this is what used to happen. And I'm glad we're done with that. I'm glad we're over that. Tell it from a different slant. So if you're looking to create a life where you're financially abundant, but you are not experiencing financial abundance, and maybe you never have, for a lot of people, for most people, unfortunately, extreme levels of wealth and lots of cash coming into your life is not your normal. What is struggle, right? And so for some people, you don't even feel deep emotion around it anymore. It just is what it is. The lack thereof abundance is just quite normal for you. So you don't have that emotion attached to it. If you know you want to change the circumstances, instead of talking about like casually, like, oh, I got to work really hard for this money. I got to come up with my rent money. I got to come up with my mortgage. I got to come up with this. Instead of telling that story, start telling a different story. Every time you check, you don't have the money, immediately tell another story, either to yourself or to someone you're talking to. I'm really grateful to be able to pay my bills this month. I am so excited that used to be my story, that's not my story anymore. And like tap into that same, the emotion that you tell the normal story with, tell the new story of, this is what used to happen. I'm so grateful I'm not there anymore. I'm so grateful that it's no longer my experience. I'm so grateful that all I experience around me is abundance. I'm so grateful all that I experience around me is happiness and joy. I'm so grateful that everyone around me is thriving. I'm so grateful this is my new experience. And literally every time you want to tell that other story of what it seems like, you tell this new story. And it's going to take practice, and it's going to take you moving out of emotion. And one of the things I will say for most people who are not in a space where they're really enjoying their life, they're highly emotional people who everything's like it felt like and it looked like, and they tend to be poor or doing just enough. It's just a reality. You have to move out of emotion and move into your logic and tell a new story consciously. The more you tell a story consciously in emotion or in whatever is going on, that begins to imprint its truth. This goes for everything. If you feel like you were mistreated at work, stop telling the story of something that happened at work. Tell, in that same emotion, tell a completely different story that looks completely different in your circumstances at work. Change the fucking story. No one said you have to have this story. No one says you have to attach to this story and this narrative as true. You don't have to. I literally said to my friend, when there have been bad experiences, my truth is, and this is my real truth, but I never adopted any other truth. The truth is, negative experiences in my life are the exception, not the rule. Whereas most people consider positive experiences in their life as the exception, not the rule. I'm the opposite. Well, if I meet someone who doesn't like me, if I meet somebody with a bad attitude, they're the exception. They're not the rule. And so seeing someone who is just ugly or rude or whatever, that really has nothing to do with me. They the exception. They had a bad day. I don't know. Did you don't have sex this morning? I don't know. But what I know, it has nothing to do with me, and it's your personal problem. Whereas a lot of people take those things on as they did something to me. No, you're doing this to you, because you don't have to take that on as your truth. They're the exception. They're a butthole. I never have to see you again. You can stay in your bad attitude. You can stay in whatever you're in, because I'm good. I feel good. I'm moving through life. A rule for my life is that people love me. Everywhere I go, people love me. I get treated exceptionally well. And that's always been a rule for me. And it wasn't until I started learning about consciousness and learning about programming and belief systems that I recognized that this truth that I grew up with, I've always had. The reason I probably can name a handful of experiences my entire life where I would say people were just rude to me, not kind, and I would have fingers left over from the hand. It's just, my rule has always been people treat me well. And that really is what I notice everywhere I go, is how well people treat me. People love me. People respect me. People are kind to me. I'm always being upgraded. All these amazing things are happening. Like, these are the rules that I've made for myself, and thus it's the truth in my life. So you can take something that has been a rule for you, such as, you aren't treated well, you struggle with money, you never can find a job to pay you what you need to get paid, you can't sign enough clients, you borrow from Peter to pay. All of those stories, you can just change those. You can choose a new truth. Now, you've said those stories for so long that recognize that there may be a time gap for the new experiences to show up. And one day I will, I'm gonna do this at my live event on Saturday. I'm gonna give this example that works perfectly. It's a banking example I've been giving recently, but it'll be a time lag. Who knows if it's a few days? It depends on how strongly your subconscious attaches to the new beliefs that can work out the old ones. But you literally can shift your life. And those of you who get this, when you get it, the moment you get it, it might be the first time you watch this, it might be the 10th time you watch this, but when it click, within 30 days, you're going to notice your life change. Before then, you'll notice people start treating you different. You'll notice doors opening for you. In 30 days, you will notice what I experience the world as, I no longer experience the world as. All right, that's my promise to you. Thank you so much, guys. I enjoyed making this video. Any comments, any thoughts, leave them down. I love comments. I'm always here. I'm always in the comments. I'm not one of those people that you leave a comment and I ignore that. If I didn't answer, I just didn't see it. And I'll talk to you guys next time on the next video. Toodles.